Hey friends, Jordan Woods Robinson here from AMC's The Walking Dead and Blue Man Group, and this is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're a geek podcast for geek culture, so are you ready to get your geek on? Sit back, relax, grab some gluten-free, non-GMO popcorn, and let's dive into the world pop culture bliss.
I'm John from Game Life Balance US, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other geeky podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready, because geekiness commences in 3, 2, 1.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
PopXcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
By the power of Grayskull, Autobots, transform. Excelsior!
All right, and welcome everyone. This is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm your host, Joseph Burke, and as you can tell, we have a jam-packed show lined up for you tonight. What's up, Michael? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Dude, I think we're... Are you officially my co-host tonight?
No, Mike is here.
Okay. You sure? Because, I mean, this is kind of cool, you know? I never get a really, cool, retro kind of host on here, so I'm just, kind of cool with that. Well, if you're cool with it, I'm cool with it, but... You know what? I want to kick the show off here on the right foot, and Michael, it is so awesome to have you here with us tonight. We are going to be touching base with you here really shortly. We're going to have a very brief news segment this week, but kicking things off, I am Joe Burke. We're Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. Now, I'd like to welcome and invite everyone that's joining us right now on the stream to come over to Facebook Live and join in the chat where you can be able to ask questions and talk to Michael French from RetroBlasting in real time. And also, we also have a PopX.live, which kind of feeds into our Facebook Live anyway. They're all live. Everybody's live. But anyway, be sure to head over to Google Play or iTunes after the show and click on that subscribe button to catch up on some amazing shows from the PopX archive and also 2 more RetroBlasting episodes to date. This is our 3rd with Michael. But we certainly appreciate it. You guys showing us some love by leaving us a glowing and wonderful 5-star rating and review. Now, if you missed episode number 85 a couple of weeks ago, that was PopX's Halloween special. Go check it out on our official website over at PopXcast.com for this and other great past shows from the PopX Collective archive of geeky, delicious goodness. All right, well, let's get some news rolling here, shall we?
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News. Coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com.
Oh, man, leading us off here this week, Michael, you're going to have to enjoy some crazy nerdy news. I hope that's okay with you.
That's fine.
All righty, dude. All right, so the Walt Disney Company just revealed some major details about the Disney Plus streaming service, including involvement of one Marvel fan favorite. Now, during the company's quarterly earnings call, Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed that the live-action television series centered around Loki, that's you heard me correct, Tom Hiddleston is returning, is in development at Disney Plus. Now, this confirms news that was first reported back in September of this year, which suggested that Loki and Scarlet Witch, which is Elizabeth Olsen, TV shows are on the way. And while it's unclear exactly what the plot of Loki TV series would be, or what time frame, or when, or where, or how, it certainly sounds like Hiddleston would like to continue to add more depth to Loki, the character. Now, Michael, have you heard about this news about Loki and Disney Plus?
I have, yeah. I heard that they were going to be doing it around the same time that they announced I believe it's a Black Widow movie, so it seemed like Marvel was on the move with some of that stuff.
So what do you think about that? You think there's room for a Loki story in the Marvel MCU?
Yeah, he's got a huge fan following in the MCU, both with men and women. They all seem to love his performance and love Tom Hiddleston as an actor. So I think there's plenty of room there. It seems like a smart move to try it.
Yeah, agreed. And Marvel is just one small blip on the radar of what Disney Plus is going to be putting out, and we may be talking about that here a little bit later. So moving along with some of the stuff, we were just talking about one Marvel movie. So Marvel Studios is putting all their eggs into the Eternals basket. As a new report suggests, the movie could start production in less than a year from now. Now, the Eternals, I don't know if you know much about the Eternals in the Marvel world, will enter production sometime in September 2019 and is kind of submitting it as one of two Marvel Studios properties of 2020. Now, although the property has yet to be officially announced by Marvel Studios, studio boss Kevin Feige previously discussed the potential of introducing the Class Comics group into the Marvel MCU. He went on to say, in quote, well, one of the cool things about the property and what Jack Kirby did with it was, well, that's what's been done with it in recent years. It also does tie into the Eternal saga in this era as well. And they've been around for a long time. So the Eternals, if you don't know, we actually did a PopX origin story on the Eternals. So you can go back and check that out. We did it on, you might remember there were some Eternals even in Guardians of the Galaxy. Some of the cutscenes of the warriors, the giant towering guys with the giant axes. Those are the Eternals. And so he went on to say that, let's see, the Mad Titan himself, Josh Brolin, is definitely going to be appearing in it. That's interesting. And moving along with that, Marvel Studios has reportedly tapped Chloe Zhao, that is the writer, to direct on a script from the brothers Matthew and Ryan Firpo. Now, Zhao will be the third woman to direct a Marvel film behind Anna Boden, who co-directed Captain Marvel with Ryan Fleck and Kate Shortland. The director, Hilming, that's the solo Black Widow movie that's supposed to be coming out, and they're all tied into that. So we are looking at possibly a Phase 5 Marvel. Now, Michael, are you Marvel, or are you more Star Wars? Are you more DC?
I would say at this point in the game, I'm Marvel. I grew up with all three, but as far as collecting everything, as far as the movies go, Marvel is the only franchise where I have collected all of them since they've come out. So
that's freaking impressive.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going on with that. He's got everything. I don't know if I could handle being in just within proximity of your showroom. I may have to call EMS services. I'm just saying.
Well, we've got a nurse on hand. Melinda's a nurse, so if anything happens.
So is my wife.
There you go.
Nice.
You did good, friend. You did good.
So did you.
All right, continuing on with the news here. We only got a couple more, and then we're going to dive right in with RetroBlasting. Deadpool is coming back to theaters for a PG-13 engagement this Christmas. That's kind of weird, right? And now, so the franchise is bringing the all-new title along for the ride. Now, according to Deadline, the Deadpool re-release will be titled Once Upon a Deadpool. And it will play in theaters around the country for a total of 12 days. Now, the movie will open on December the 12th and run through Christmas Eve, aiming to draw in the middle and high school students during the holiday break that wouldn't have been able to see Deadpool 2 in the theaters earlier this year. The report states that the majority of the movie will be recycled footage from Deadpool 2, recut in order to turn the hard-rated R movie into more of a film movie for younger teenagers. The new footage in the movie will consist of a framing sequence with Ryan Reynolds and Fred Savage. They're gonna be framing up against each other, and oh my God, Fred Savage, that's gonna be so magical.
It looks like it from the screenshot. It looks amazing.
It looks amazing, and part of me is like, okay, I can see where they're going with this, though. We already know that Disney and Fox have the deal has been signed, and Disney now is underway and probably at this point it's safe to say that the property license are in transition as we speak with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and all of that. So you're starting to see some of that. As we're going into 2019, you'll be seeing a lot more of these kind of little mini things pop up as Disney attempts to rebrand itself under with the Fox umbrella as well.
Yep.
So definitely exciting. If you guys are listening to this and you're chiming in, definitely leave some comments below. If you're on Facebook Live, it's facebook.com/PopXcast, and you can actually talk with us in real time, and we'll do our best to answer some of the questions. So, all right. So we have a lot of people in the chat room. I'm just checking this out. We got Mike Alonzo. We got Bean Jonathan. My God, these guys are just like Kyle Winsnet. What's up, dude? Man, thank you guys so much for joining us. Last news segment of the week, and we have The Walking Dead. Just aired the explosive final, no pun intended on the explosive, final episode featuring Andrew Lincoln as Rick Grimes. Now, but in this case, the end is just another beginning for a whole new world in the zombie-infested universe. Now, AMC announced that Lincoln would be returning for a planned trilogy of films set in the Walking Dead universe. You heard me right. A trilogy of films, reprising his role as Rick Grimes. But that's just the first step of producer Scott Gimble's plans for the future of the franchise, and he's only mentioned seeing characters like Michonne and Daryl in the movies as well. Now, the 9th season of The Walking Dead is currently airing on AMC, and we'll hear more about the new movies in the coming months ahead. Now, I will say this, that The Walking Dead Season 9 is by far one of the most crowd-pleasing and definitely audience-attentive shows that we've seen from Walking Dead in a long time. Fans are really raving around it. Michael, are you a fan of the Walking Dead franchise? You being in Atlanta? And
it's funny. Zombies as a genre, ironically or appropriately, just doesn't seem to die.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've
see
never...
what you did there, buddy. I'm watching you, man. I'm watching you.
Yeah, I watched the first season of Walking Dead, but I just wasn't. I'm not really a zombies genre aficionado. Like, I've watched all of Romero's stuff, and then I watched some of that, but I just never stuck with it. I'm glad it's been real successful, but it's not my thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No pun intended. It's kind of a dead franchise. See, I hear actors are dying to get a role there. Oh God, it's the dry humor train. Hop on board. Also, we got Mike Surratt joining us in the room as well. And you know what? We're just going to kick this thing off this week, and we're going to dive right into it. Now, there's not going to be any kind of crazy spoilers or anything that we're going to be talking about. This is just us in a conversation with RetroBlasting founder Michael French. And I'm actually going to open up Mike's window right now here and let Mike come in here and join us as well as we dive into this amazing world of retro. Oh my God, dude, this is like, this is glorious. I'm just looking at behind you. I'm just like, there's Thundercats and there's Mask and there's A-Team and.
Yeah, it's when we last did the podcast and I tried unsuccessfully to get my phone to show you what was going on. I think I told you at the time, when we designed this studio, we designed it the way that Mr. Rogers had the dioramas on the shelves, because we needed to be able to get to each toy line quickly in order to increase our production efficiency. So if we needed Ninja Turtles, I didn't need to go bin diving to look for them. I needed to Mr. Rogers my way over to the shelf, get the Ninja Turtles out, take them into the studio, put them on the table. And so we've designed it that way.
Did you feed the fish? Did you feed the fish as you walked by?
I wish. I need to work that in. But every single toy line has its shelf or shelves, depending on its popularity and its impact. And so I know where everything is in this room. And it goes all the way from, he's got the mic, he's got the camera on. Oh
my God, is that Mask Thunder Mountain below there?
Yes, Mask Boulder Hill.
Oh my God.
And so that central case right there is some of the bigger toys because they have bigger footprint.
The cases have names? Central case?
Yeah. So you got Boulder Hill, then next to it you got the Mirage jet from Silverhawks with the entire main cast. Below the Boulder Hill, you have the hard-to-find Black Star Ice Castle from Filmation's Black Star. That castle is very brittle, and it usually shatters in shipment. And then next to that is the Rambo Savage Strike headquarters from the Rambo cartoon from the 80s.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah. So and then if you look to the left, you can see in the left corner of the sort of left side of the screen, you can see the Bionic 6 laboratory.
Yeah.
Which is just below the Buck Rogers Draconian Fighter. So
well, let me as I mean, this is freaking impressive as heck. I can't. I mean, so what was it as a child? Well, let me back up. What was the motivation? What was the moment that the idea was born in your head that I am going to restore and recreate my childhood, and not just those things, but create this massive, beautiful, displayed showcase room? I mean, so walk us through that.
Yeah, it was a few stages. It happens. It sneaks up on you, and especially as you know, after you start becoming a content creator, other things begin to happen. So at first, it was just get the lost accessories for the childhood toys I had, then go after the ones I always wanted and never got, certain characters, certain vehicles. Then it was, oh, well, I'm only 3 pieces away from finishing this line or that line. Might as well go all in. Then Melinda gave me the idea to start a YouTube channel. So then it was, well, I want to make sure that each video is superior to most of the YouTube offerings out there by showing you as much as possible. Got to get those.
Right.
Then it became, oh, I've got a lot of stuff now, and I need an easier way to access all of it. And also, in a lot of the photographs, message boards, and posts that I've seen over the years, a lot of people prioritize the collecting of the things and never think about the displaying of what they have. And so then you can't ever really fully enjoy it. And I thought, well, if I can create a space and really prioritize that space, the stuff that I have will give me almost, in other words, it will give me the joy that is currently coming from just chasing the next thing.
Wow.
And that has proven to be the case, where I'm now able to see and enjoy. See, Melinda was so funny. She told me, because when we got the cases and I said, I'm going to take a week off work last year to set everything up, I said, it'll probably only take me a day or two, and then I'll have the rest of the week off. She goes, no, it's going to take you a long time. And I went, no. She goes, you don't know how much you have.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it took me 2 weeks.
Wow.
To get everything set up.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, that was, I can't relate to that volume and that sheer size of a collection, but growing up in the 80s, I actually acquired several pretty awesome pieces myself, and my wife knew this, and it all just stayed in a closet, it stayed in storage, and she, we don't have any children, and she just said one day, she said, all right, how about you just create something in a room that speaks you? You have nowhere to showcase any of this stuff. Why? And the real hero in this story is actually my wife for giving me an entire room in the house to convert it into a Marvel Comics man cave, or just a regular comic man cave. But there's a sense of pride and there's a sense of joy when you finally see, because I just recently got a glass case in my room as well, and it's got all nice LED lights and everything. And it's just a really great feeling seeing your childhood displayed in a way that's representative of who you are. And it's just phenomenal. I'm looking at the Ghostbusters headquarters. Oh, my God, you got the firehouse.
Yep, and then if you're looking at the top row there from the right, that's the Crystar Castle, the Crystar Crystal Castle, which is hard to find. You've got Brave Star's Fort Kyrium, which is partially folded up to fit other things on there.
Right.
Then you have, as a Marvel fan, you'll appreciate the Secret Wars Tower of Doom.
I see that,
which
buddy.
is next. Yep. And then you have the 2 GoBots playsets, Thruster, the bad guys playset, and then the command center, the GoBots Guardians command center.
That is.
And then the firehouse.
That is insanely impressive, bro. I'm not going to joke to you. I want to switch gears for a second over to Mike, who is the guy just kind of nicely. He was almost like he's a film kind of, he's just holding the microphone very gently and the camera, and he's doing the turns. Mike, I want to ask you a question. When you first stepped into the showroom, can you explain to everybody just what you saw for the first time?
This place is absolutely phenomenal. Just when you walk. you've been taken aback to your childhood, and a lot of these toys that I had as a kid, and just to see them again is just from when I was a younger kid. I had some of these, but most of them, ended up getting lost or thrown away or broken, stuff like that. And to see these in the original condition is just it's completely. I was overwhelmed when I came in here.
Yeah.
I've seen this setup many times on YouTube videos, and to see this in person was just unbelievable.
And you hit on something there too, Mike, is that there's a part of my childhood that when I go back to good moments and good memories and just a blissful time of my youth, it always goes back to those 80s and those toys that I played with, that I treasured. I was a single kid. I never had any brothers or sisters, so I just kind of coveted my toys a little bit. I didn't really fight them or bang them up. I just kind of displayed them because I thought they were more beautiful displayed than they were to be, blown up or melted. And I understand what you're saying, Mike, because there's a few toys that, unfortunately, when I moved a couple of times with my parents, I lost them in transition. And seeing full, complete sets and the lines and everything, it's just it's goals for some of us. But at the same time, though, there's a sense of joy and pride in what has been attained and what we can do. You can do all this stuff out there. It's not impossible. And I think Michael does a great job on his YouTube channel, exclusively on RetroBlasting, in showing us how we find these unique pieces and how we scour the web and cons and stuff like that. So
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, the videos are so amazing. We've had this conversation numerous times.
Oh yeah.
And just the amount of work, the effort, and the passion they put into the videos, just amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you guys for that. I do want to point out that you might be seeing, like, over Mike's head right now, you're seeing that Megatron, which is a great companion piece, Joe, to your Optimus Prime.
It is a great companion piece.
But I want to point out that for the most part, all of the toys you're seeing here, 99.9% of them are loose, complete examples, because it's very important to us that we preserve toys as they were played with, not mint in packaging. And I know some people, that's a big appeal for them, is mint in packaging. But for us, it's not interesting on video to show somebody a box. We want to show them the thing, the object, out of the box.
Wow, and you really hit on something there that's really not talked about in the toy collecting world. Most people will get a toy or an action figure, and they will leave it in the box. And it will never collect dust. It will never have human hands touch it or anything like that. And to some collectibles, that's appropriate. Mm-hmm. But to majority of it, loosely displayed, I like how you said that, is you think about it, though. I mean, it's easy to chase figures that's on cards, but if you can find the figure, that there's more meaningful than anything, is restoring that piece of your childhood,
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I couldn't agree more. So if you have any questions for Michael over in the chat room here on Facebook Live, you guys let us know. Please like it and share it out as much as you can. And I'll be reading Michael's questions here shortly. So as you guys type them in, if you have anything that you want to ask him, just let me know, and I will let that be passed on to him. Now, I do have a couple of quick questions for you. Before I get into kind of more of a list of your favorite, your top 5 favorite toy lines. Be thinking about that in the back of your mind. I know, this is crazy. He's all over the place. This question, and I hope I'm not tapping too much into you, in your personal world, but is there one particular toy in all of your collection that is sentimental and just means so much to you? Is there that one piece?
It would have to be a small collection of action figures that stand next to my Millennium Falcon from when I was a kid in the central case. They include the very first Star Wars figure I ever owned, which was Chewbacca, and then my Empire Strikes Back crew.
Wow!
So you can kind of see them right there. It's Lando Calrissian, Bespin Luke Skywalker, Hoth Princess Leia, Bespin Han Solo, Chewbacca, and the removable limb C-3PO. Now, if you look to the right of that, you can see my childhood R2-D2 standing next to another C-3PO who would also be included in that grouping. He's right standing there on the bottom of that Death Star playset. But those are very important to me.
Wow.
Because I love The Empire Strikes Back, and that Millennium Falcon, which I restored on the channel, was my 6th birthday present.
Wow.
And then those were my childhood original figures from Empire. I had the Hoth ones as well, but it was the Bespin Empire crew that I really, really liked. And so those are my originals, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah, no qualms here, dude. I wouldn't. And there's definitely a couple pieces like that in my collection. I'm just like, no, this is where it started for me.
Yeah.
And so that's very important, you know, when you have that connection with it, not only just toys, it could be a comic book or it could be a book or whatever. Question over in the chat room: will broken Vader ever be fixed?
Well, he's got some laryngitis. He's here right now, so he's not really saying much tonight. But he wants to be fixed. But I'm not gonna do it yet.
Oh no! Gosh, that burn though, sizzling.
He's unpredictable.
Yeah.
And Melinda doesn't trust him, and he understands that there are some trust issues going on with him, and we got to work those out before we come to a decision.
Would you say that Broken Vader may need some levels of therapy going forward?
I think he might.
Some counseling?
I don't know what could trigger him, honestly. I don't know what'll set him off. So we got to be careful. He insists that everything's above board, but I just don't know. I just don't know.
Oh my god, that is so funny. There's some really cool commentary over in the sidebar here. It says a toy needs a history. Open toys are loved, and that's pretty cool. And let's see, Bean Jonathan said this is a box. It's a square, and it has pictures on it with a toy inside. Absolutely. And a question from Robert Villarreal. Is there any plans on doing videos on the Slime Pit or Fright Zone from Masters of the Universe?
There absolutely is. I have to acquire a complete Fright Zone. The tree on the Fright Zone is hard to get intact when you get it loose. But I do plan to get a Fright Zone. And the Slime Pit, the tough part about that is authentic Masters of the Universe slime. I know kids are mixing up slime right now. It's like a fad. But authentic Masters of the Universe slime is very precious now, and you don't want to be using it in a video. So if it's still there, I have some original ectoplasm from Ghostbusters. I don't have any original slime.
Does it still have its consistency?
It does. Yes, it does. At least as of 2 years ago. It's in the firehouse. It's in the Ghostbusters firehouse up above my head. So
somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got 3 cans of it. So
that's pretty rare. And being that it's 30 years old, almost 20 years old, something like that, 25.
Yeah.
That's insane, bro. That is.
If you want me to, I'll get the can down and we can check it together.
By all means.
All right.
We have, ladies and gentlemen, this is interactive. Michael French checking out the slime. Oh my god. We're checking it. This is awesome. So what? Oh, nice. So what is the copyright date on that can, if you don't mind?
1986.
Dang.
So let's just see. Oh yeah. You see that right there?
Oh, we definitely have some elasticity right there, ladies. Oh my gosh.
It's still there, and it's still gooey.
Wow, that is freaking impressive as heck, bro.
Let's see if I can get it to. See?
Oh, no, that's precious stuff right there. You don't want to. Yeah, don't lose none of that.
I didn't want to ruin my keyboard either. So.
No. My gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny. So Timothy Ward over in the chat room says Melinda and Spock warn you not to fix him. Talking about
those are two people that need to be listened to. Melinda and Spock. I mean,
True
really.
that. I ain't gonna lie there. So,
right.
Well, that was really cool about your R2D2 kind of being one of those pieces that just is the centerpiece in your mind. And I'm sitting here looking at the Hall of Justice and some of the old school DC comic action figures. That is a really cool playset. Always wanted that playset, and my mom and dad could never find it.
Yeah,
so.
I never had it as a child either. I mean, I don't want people to get the impression that I had all of this stuff growing up. I did not. I had maybe 20% of it, maybe.
Yeah.
But that Hall of Justice, see, growing up, I only had Superman, Batman, and Robin from that line. That was it. Didn't have anything else. So technically, I only had Batman. My brother had the others.
I just spotted something in your case that I actually had. And it's in Mike's frame. It's Captain Power. It's the VHS, and you would home in on the magenta icons on the VHS, and you would get points from it. And the not the villain one, but the hero fighter with the gun trigger. I actually had that one, and I would give anything today if I could find it. Like I said,
that was not hard to find. You can actually find that one boxed.
Can you really?
Brand new for not. I mean, well under. $75 most of the time. I mean, it's actually very attainable, that one.
Did you keep any of the VHSs?
Yes, I have the 3 VHSs. They're over on my editing desk. If you'd like me to bring them to camera, I can.
I'm not going to have you run all over the place.
Okay,
I just remember how the editing was in the back of my head. You know, you got the weird cheesy effects and the smoke effects and stuff like that. I thought it was just it was a breakthrough interactive toy for its time, and I definitely remember that one for sure. So let's get on into now a little bit about your top 5 toy lines.
Okay.
And I know you might be snowballing quick on this one, but give us your 5, maybe in reverse order, and then lead us up to number 1, which is your favorite.
Okay. Now, do you want these as top 5 from when I was a kid, or top 5 as of what I've learned overall?
I would say where you are today, right now, presently. What would be those top 5?
Number 5 would be Robotech.
Robotech.
Yes, because, and Robotech is over that way. Robotech, the reason that I have such, Mike's moving the camera.
Oh, here we go. We're on the journey.
We're on a journey.
Here we go.
I'll wait till he gets over there. I don't want to mess up his chi. So the top shelf right there on the end case
is Robotech.
There
it is.
And the reason that I choose it is because even though I didn't have, except for one action figure, I didn't have any of those growing up. And I didn't even get to see the show because it didn't air in my market in Nashville. I only saw video cassettes of it. As I've collected it as an adult and I saw the show was excellent. And the toy line was very ambitious by Matchbox. It wanted to be a Star Wars scale toy line. It really tried. It just didn't have the quality control or the popularity of Star Wars to achieve it.
Wow.
But when you look at it, you can see they had, the small figures that went in the vehicles. They made all of the major vehicles. If you're looking to the top right of that frame, you are seeing the very rare SDF-1 bridge playset. That was the main central playset. It's one of the hardest playsets to find of 80s toys. And I'm going to be doing a full Robotech video. I just love the ambition of it. They wanted to be Star Wars with their toys, and they got close, but they didn't have the chops. They didn't have, Matchbox was known for making die-cast cars.
Right.
They didn't pull this one out of the fire. So. Got to salute it. And then let's see. Next up, number 4. Number 4 is probably Mask, which you can actually see two rows down. So if you go 2 rows down, there's some of the major vehicles from Mask. What I loved about Mask was the detail that got put into that scale and the engineering that went into each vehicle. They weren't Transformers and they weren't G.I. Joes. They were something in between.
A hybrid, yeah.
Yeah, but they achieved something so cool with the different mechanisms and the spring-loaded gizmos and the way that Boulder Hill was the playset I always wanted as a child and never got. And it was my unicorn for such a long time. I grew up with the Thunderhawk, the flying Camaro.
Yeah.
The Raven, the Firefly, and that little Piranha motorcycle. And I had Scott and T-Bob. Those were all I had. But it was enough at the time. I yearned for more. I loved Mask. I thought it was just a great idea.
Mask was one of the ones that my parents actually did get me, and I had the Semi, Now I don't know the exact names of them, so forgive me for my lack of
the Rhino.
the Rhino. And then I had the that looks like the '57 Chevy with the teal color and the flames going down the side.
The Hurricane.
And I had the little bike, the little beanie bike.
Oh, the
bicycle,
Condor.
The Condor. And so those were the three that I had. And then, of course, my mom and dad, one Christmas, I think it was 1986, 87, gifted me with the Mask playset. And that, yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, I wish I could just go back and literally slap myself across the face and say, keep it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
There were a few things that I sold at garage sales, a few things, like Michael Knight and the Talking Kit car. I sold that. I don't know why. Yeah. So I feel your pain. I do.
Yeah. So number 5 is Robotech. Number 4 is Mask.
Number 3, this is where it starts to get tough. I think number 3, just for the purposes of being honest, it's got to be G.I. Joe.
Oh.
I mean, G.I. Joe is number 3. I was never a kid that was... As a kid, I wasn't into the military so much. It wasn't like my thing. I liked spaceships and fantasy and all that kind of stuff. But as an adult, I really like history. Yeah. So I've learned that as I was growing up with the G.I. Joe comic book, G.I. Joe got me into comic books. It got me into learning about military history. And I also had a big affinity for ninjas, and G.I. Joe was ninja central in the 80s. Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes and all that stuff. So I didn't get into G.I. Joe hard until the mid to late 80s when everything else ran out. So Mask didn't last long. Star Wars was long gone.
Right.
Silverhawks turned out to be not a good toy line. And so I moved into G.I. Joe. I leaned into it. G.I. Joe happened to me. I didn't happen to it. But when it did happen to me, I was like, wow, this is a really great toy line.
And I'm looking here. That is the actual aircraft, the carrier. That is the largest G.I. Joe playset ever made, right?
Yes.
I'm correct on that one.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. And we
God.
built a special base for it. So you're seeing it on a special base that raises it up another 6 inches, so that you can actually put the other amphibious vehicles underneath it like you would in a real aircraft carrier. And then we lit it with Lego lights so that you can see everything inside it.
Dude, that is beautifully displayed. I'm looking at the bottom part of the aircraft carrier, and I can see the lights underneath it. That's a freaking awesome job, dude.
Thank you. My friend Aaron built the wooden plinth. We sort of cobbled it together from plans from the G.I. Joeberg website.
Right.
There are a bunch of G.I. Joe fans out of South Africa. They're really awesome.
Wow.
And then hidden in there is an Easter egg underneath the trusses is my childhood Storm Shadow ready to pounce on Duke and the gang. So it's like my little salute to my childhood there.
He's just hanging out.
Yeah.
I don't remember the actual name of the. Now this was G.I. Joe. We're in the same toy line, and it's kind of weird. You and I were kind of along the same line. I think it's because we're close in age. You know, when these toys came out, we played with them. But there was one particular G.I. Joe toy that I had. It was a giant tank rolling, and the sides of it came up, and it had this like little battery pack with sound effects on it. Do you remember that one?
Wow.
It was It was a rolling tank, and this thing would like fit under your bed. It was massive. But
and you said what color was it?
It was gray and black. But here's the cool thing: it had this like little like box that would snap down in it. You could take out and you could put 4 AA batteries in it, and it had all the little sounds like missiles. And you could flip the lights on, and the lights would project over the. It was really cool. It was. I'm thinking probably 89, 90. If anybody.
Oh, okay. So it was a later Joe toy.
It was. Yeah. So if anybody out there knows the name of that particular one or can link me to it, I'd love to, because it's just I'm seeing snapshots of my childhood and I don't know the names of it. That's the problem. So, but we have a comment over here. Bean Jonathan, Mask is in perfect scale with MP Transformers, and Robert asks, do you have the Mum Ra mummy figure?
Yes, I do have Mum Ra, the mail away mummy from when I was a kid. He's actually right there. Can you see where I'm pointing my thumb?
Yeah, with the red cloak.
Yeah. And then there's the Transform Mumra right there, who's also mine. Yeah, I do have that. I don't have Mumra's lair. I don't have Mumra's sanctum, whatever you want to call it. And I don't have the cat's lair either. Plan to try and find those, but I don't have them yet.
Well, I hope that answers your question there, Robert. So he does have it. It's just an FYI. All right, so we've got Robotech, Mask, G.I. Joe. Number 2.
Number 2. See, looking around here, I don't want to leave anything to chance. Oop, and I hit my own microphone.
You're fine.
Number 2 for me is probably going to be as much as number 2 is a hard one because I want to say He-Man, but I also want to say Transformers.
Ooh.
And I can only pick one.
Yes, you can.
Okay. I had more enjoyment as a child with He-Man, so I'm going to go with He-Man, but I don't want that to diminish that intellectually. I know Transformers had a massive impact on toy history.
Yes.
So I want to salute Transformers for its ambition.
Honorable mention.
Yeah. He-Man I was there at the beginning of He-Man, and even though my brother was the one that was really the collector of it, I really loved the early I liked the cartoon. We watched it a lot, but I remember the pre-cartoon days of He-Man where all you knew was what was on that box art. Those painted primordial landscapes with the medieval, castles and
the comic
sorcery creatures, and it was really captivating. It really was. And I think the earliest He-Man stuff is the best.
And I think you're right. That early artwork, that like dark graphic work, comic book style. I mean, some of those covers that came out with the comics that was released long before the cartoon came out was mind blowing. I mean,
awesome.
I was looking at this artwork and I'm like, this is incredible. And I'm like 6 years old and I'm like, I want to draw that,
Yeah, I actually don't like the construction of the He-Man figures. It's more about their influence because as figures, they don't age well in the sense that I don't mean that as you get older they look dumb. I don't mean like that.
Right.
What I mean is, as a collector, their legs get real loosey-goosey, and you can't take them apart like a G.I. Joe to easily fix them. So you have to go through these very intensive processes to try and keep them display-worthy. So that is a handicap for them. Whereas Transformers, the aforementioned, they can often be taken apart, the screws, put new parts or intact parts put on to restore them, to make them look good again. I mean, I rebuilt my childhood Optimus 3 times. It was a crusade, but he's the one standing in my case now, and I'm proud to say that. With He-Man, if those legs fall off, and even when they don't, they can get real loose and they can't stand up easily.
Yeah, it's the rubber. It dry rots.
Yeah, it's rubber and it dry rots. So that's why I'm struggling between He-Man and Transformers. But I would have to give it to He-Man because I had more of them. And when they were new, they were a lot of fun to play with, and they were pretty durable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely Masters of the Universe was, I was on the bandwagon very early on in that, and my mom, every time we went to KB Toys, there's a blast from the past, I would come out with a random, Whiplash or Trapjaw or Faker or whoever, and, that was my jam, and that was definitely, I would have to say, Masters of the Universe coming out of as a very young child going into more of a 6-7 year old. This was the first toy line that I actually dove all in on, because before that it was all like Light Bright or Glowworm, some of the weird little kiddie toys. This was it for me. This defined me, and so much love with Masters of the Universe. I actually do have the Snake Mountain and Castle Grayskull. I should have had them out displayed behind me, but whatever.
Yeah, I've got them up on the top shelf right there. Let's see, with
there they are.
Yep, with Point Dread in the middle, and then the Voltron Castle Alliance there.
Yeah.
Did
you watch the new Adventures of the He-Man series? Have you seen that one?
Was this the one from the late '80s that was more like science fiction,
or is this the one from 2004?
Or is this the one from the early aughts?
I don't know. I was just I'm relaying the questions from the chat room. So.
Oh well, if it's the one from the late '80s that was kind of sci-fi, yes, I did see that one when it was on.
Yeah.
I did see a few episodes of the relaunched Four Horsemen based He-Man show in the early aughts as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen them both.
Do you think that there's a Masters of the Universe revival coming up with a movie right around the corner?
Probably. He-Man is one of the big three, and it hasn't seen an attempted revival in this time period of reboots. So for not including the Four Horsemen attempt, which was a cartoon, but as far as big live action movies goes, we've had the attempt at Transformers, we've had the attempt at G.I. Joe, we have not had a He-Man attempt, and that's the other part of the triumvirate. Those were the big three. So I'm actually shocked that we haven't seen it until now. So
well, I think honestly, now will be a great time to do that because especially with the visual effects the way they are, and under the right licensing and the right animation studio, this could be a pretty phenomenal blockbuster.
You really need though like a Peter Jackson level of expertise, like a Lord of the Rings level of production value to really make that sell.
Yes.
And I hope that they put their resources behind that because that's what's going to give it the credibility that it already has, but that a lot of people don't remember. They need that.
I like what you said there too, and it's not about Peter Jackson, spot on. And so it's not about the close-up of the character. It's about the scale of Eternia itself.
Yes.
And I think when you get the depth of that right, and, you've got the dark side as well as the good side, and Eternia and Snake Mountain and all of this, then you could see those balanced forces start to play out, and you'll get more of that Lord of the Rings, Hobbit kind of vibe that it needs, that barbaric type atmosphere. Right. Really cool stuff. Jonathan over the chat room says, I've been mixing the best of the vintage 2000s. Master of the Universe, he's been mixing and collecting there between that and vintage as well, and that's pretty awesome. So we have whittled it down now to the number one of Michael French's amazing top 5 toy lines of all time, and your number one would be?
Okay, well, first I'm going to say with an asterisk that if it had not been for action gimmicks and terrible vehicles, my number one would have been Superpowers because of how beautifully sculpted and displayable they are. They are gorgeous action figures that really captured the DC heroes of the Bronze Age. Like, they really captured that style guide. They jumped right out of it. But because their articulation was limited and because the vehicles were very silly aside from Batman's, I have to walk away from it. I have to edge back into the hedge.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to go. I know this is expected, but there's a reason for it. I have to say that both from personal influence and from its impact on 80s toys is Star Wars.
I was getting ready to say, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's the answer nobody wants to hear because it's been said a million times, but Star Wars set the stage for all of this. Everybody else was chasing them up until 1985, and the only reason that Star Wars didn't keep going was because George Lucas said, I don't want to make any more movies for a while. If he'd kept making movies, Star Wars would have never stopped. I mean, it would have just kept going. So the Kenner jumped in with, so Kenner didn't have the most posable figures.
No.
Even with contemporaries. So like Mego was putting out 3 3/4 inch figures like Buck Rogers, like Chips of all things, like Dukes of Hazzard, that had better articulation, but Star Wars had the scope, they had the variety,
and the vehicles.
Go ahead.
And the vehicles.
Oh, the vehicles and the play sets, not just one major play set. They had tons of play sets. So Star Wars, and also the odd thing about it is that Star Wars, even though it was based on 3 movies, the toy line seemed to inspire imaginative play beyond the films.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas, if you take something like the Indiana Jones action figure line, which was also made by Kenner, it did not, for something about that property kept you locked into the events of the movie with your action figures. It was like, well, I can go into the Well of Souls and I can do the truck chase. Well, with the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter, I don't just have to do the Death Star run. I can do all kinds of things. And maybe that was due to the licensing of children's storybooks and other things that kind of kept you thinking about new ideas, the read-alongs. Star Wars just had it all, and it's the number one.
And everybody over in the chat room is literally saying yes. I mean, it's number one. It's not a surprise because when you think about it, up until then we had G.I. Joe in the 60s and in the 50s, and those were the 12-inch scale figures. But we really never really had kind of a figure that was a 3.75. You know, we never had that up until Kenner, up until they did. They had the cowboy. I believe it was a cowboy line before they started.
And they had the Fisher Price Adventure people, but they were almost 4 inches. They were taller.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they just used that basic model and molded it and scaled it and started making Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and all that. And a really great series to tie into is the Toys That Made Us over on Netflix. Is a really great. Have you seen that? Yep.
I have. Yep.
I think it really it explains very well the history of each toy line, and you have a little greater appreciation for what was done and some of the comedic stuff that happened behind scenes.
Right.
But I when I was in high school, now we're fast forwarding. I would always go to my friend's house who lived three houses down from me. He had the AT-AT walker that you see there on the top of the shelf. I mean, this thing was on his floor, and it was like almost like up on his top mattress of his bed. And I'm like, this thing is huge. Yeah. And so we would play with it, and it was just crazy, dude. I mean, I was just sitting there, and I would. This is long before we had like cameras on our phones where we could just like snap a picture of it and do something artsy. I remember sitting on the edge of his bed while he was playing Golden Axe on the Sega Genesis. I was sketching the AT-AT walker on a sketch pad, you know, because art's my big thing. I love to draw. And so I was sitting there and I was trying to scale it and sketch it. And, you know, I was measuring it and making sure all the little legs and the pieces and the guns and, you know, the fuselage was everything was perfectly placed. And that was just one of the first things I remember as a kid, you know. I love to paint and draw, but that was the first thing I ever started on was sketching that AT-AT walker. And but anyway, I went off on a tangent, but I mean, I think it's really awesome. We got some commentary over in the chat room. I loved the 3 3/4 scale. You could mix Star Wars with Joe's, with Dukes of Hazzard, even MASH, is what he said. So,
That's true.
So that was like, what is that? Crossovers before crossovers existed?
You could even put them with Mego Superhero Pocket Heroes.
Yep.
You could put them with Buck Rogers Battlestar Galactica. Indiana Jones Lone Ranger, Zorro. They all went together. Robotech. Robotech was same size.
Kenner was a behemoth back in the day. I mean,
they were
a freaking giant, dude. I'm not lying. And it's just amazing looking back now. The legacy that you were right when you said all the toy makers patterned and followed in the footsteps of what Star Wars and Kenner created.
Right.
And that's pretty awesome, I think.
And the only way that they could really fight it was, you know, we Mike and I just finished watching the Power of Grayskull documentary about the rise of Masters of the Universe. And they realized we can't chase Kenner at their own game. We're going to have to come out with something physically bigger. We want something that towers over the Star Wars figures, and that's how they kind of differentiated themselves in the marketplace. So it's interesting to see how people use different tactics, because Mattel, you know, they tried it with Battlestar Galactica, but they didn't get it because they made vehicles that the figures couldn't fit in. It's like, what? What are you doing?
It's so funny. Robert's cracking me up over in the chat room. He said, I used to throw my Joes into the slime pit. Yeah, so that's fun times. But now,
hey, Joe?
Yes, sir. What's up, Mike?
This is something I just wanted to real quick tell you. In this shot that you see the AT-AT walker on the top shelf.
Yeah.
Well, in simple terms, that is a Chihuahua compared to the Great Dane AT-AT walker he's got across the room. That's probably about 3 times the size of that.
So there's a larger one, huh?
Would you like me to go get it? I can show it to you. All right, I'll be right back.
He's gone.
You and Mike talk for 2 seconds. It's right over there.
Oh my God!
This is what I do in my live
dude.
streams.
You're fine.
People know I get up and disappear.
Run, Michael. Run with the wind, I say. So you know, it's really awesome though, seeing just all these collections, Michael, come through. And Mike, I can't even imagine what you're experiencing just being there and seeing all of this firsthand. I can't imagine just a sheer joy that you're feeling.
Yeah, this is amazing to see. All this stuff is just bringing me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
I'm just going to switch over real quick.
Oh, yeah. There is so much goodness in this room. Oh, my God. Holy cow.
That's about the size of a large dog.
Oh, my God. This is my precious. It's... Only on PopXcast, ladies and gents. That is an impressive walker. Look at that beautiful thing. Wow.
That thing's pretty massive compared to the display case that it's next to.
So what is that, about 8 inches, 12 inches? What would you say, about a foot?
Probably more than that.
Here, I'm putting the old one next to it.
Oh my gosh. We're comparing and contrasting now. Only on PopX, guys. Oh, nice. Look at that. So is that mom and dad? So is that like
it's pretty amazing that Hasbro decided to do that a few years ago.
It's father and son. Look at that.
They've gotten away from it, but they did some good pieces about, I'd say, 8 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. They're very accurate, very screen accurate pieces, and they included a lot of detail. Wow, that is pretty cool. And thank you for your running around. I need to get used to that, right? I need to get used to that. So, kind of wrapping things up here, and can you believe an hour has passed already? We're going to try to go over a little bit. And so, I mean, not too long, but we're going to go over a little bit. And we're going to filter. I'm going to share the link to this thing, and people can come in and maybe ask you questions in real time if they want to. It's no requirement. It's nothing like that. So, but
I'm out of here.
And we're done. That's it for PopXcast. Thanks for listening. No, I'm just messing with you. Currently, now, present day, is there a toy line that you are collecting in the modern age?
Ooh. I feel like I want to say yes to that, but I don't know what it would be.
Okay.
I'm trying to rack my brain. There's some vintage items. Okay. There's a toy line I want to collect in the modern age, but I only have a few pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really would like to get all of the G1 Masterpiece Transformers of the ARC crew, but I also don't want a second mortgage on my house, so I'm not going down that path. I'm trying to think if there are any others. If they were to finally do a 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, I would want that. But they haven't done that yet either. There are ways to get me into the modern toy aisle. They just won't do it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. There was something I bought modern recently.
I see Dick Tracy on the screen here.
Yes. I have the Dick Tracy line. Notice Dick Tracy, Sam, and the Blank are on the top riser.
I see that.
Blank is one of the harder figures in the line to find because she was only sold in Canada.
Wow.
Because Disney didn't want to spoil the movie because you take the hat off the Blank and Madonna is underneath. I'm trying to think of a modern line. I love
vinyl?
I love the new Jurassic Park line that came out from Mattel.
Yeah.
The Jurassic Park Legacy Collection at Target. I thought that was really cool. I'm still looking for the Ian Malcolm figure that's supposed to come out. I dabble in modern here and there, but I'm still, like, we just got into the studio. We just got the Filmation Ghostbusters Ghost Command playset, which is another super rare playset from back in the day. So I'm still kind of working my way through vintage at this point. There's a massive Captain Power playset that
Captain
I don't have.
Power.
Yeah, the Power Base. There's some lines I don't even have anything from yet, like Power Lords, Eagle Force. I need all the Starriers. I don't have the Starriers. Things like the Fright Zone. See, I have to prioritize trying to get those vintage pieces first, so that I can do videos about them. There's a Transformers playset that was cardboard from back in the early days. It was like, it came out 85, 86, from a different company, but it was made to be compatible with the toys. I'd really like to have that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you ever collect any like fast food, like toy lines, like the California Raisins line or
yeah, I have the original 4 California Raisins from when I was a kid right over here in the shelf, and I have the second wave in a Ziploc bag in the storage room.
Oh, man.
That I also got from when I was a kid. Let's see, he's bringing the camera over. You'll see them right, as long as we don't unplug the camera. Okay, right.
There they are.
There they are, yeah.
There they are.
Those are the original 4 from Hardee's.
Yes.
Those are my 4 original Smurfs as well. And a Smurf fiend friend of mine told me that one of them, the guy on the far left in the white jumpsuit, is an astronaut, and that I'm missing his helmet. I'm like, well, I had these when I was like 3 years old. I don't know how I would remember that. So,
well, another quick question. We were talking about modern toy lines. What are your thoughts on pop vinyls? Do you collect those any?
Was this a serious question? Oh my God. Please tell me that was a setup.
This is from the chat room, so I have no inclination prior to said what is going on. I
do not collect pop vinyls.
Okay, shall we leave it there?
They are soulless, and their shark black eyes are without any glimmer nothing.
I have a feeling some of your followers over in the chat room kind of set me up for that one, because they probably know that I didn't really know that about you. So
it's okay. It's okay. No, I don't think pop vinyls. I think they're the Beanie Babies of the 21st century, and I do not think people should waste their money on them. I saw some posts on the toy boards the other day of somebody who just got so excited over the Voltron Legendary Defender show coming out with an entire cast of pop vinyls. He's like, I've got them all, and I'm thinking, you've got nothing.
You have nothing, sir. I feel like Gene Wilder at the end of Willy Wonka. Good day, sir.
Yes,
you get nothing.
So I'm not a Pop Vinyls or Mighty Mugs fan.
Okay, all right, I get you.
I add something to that. That goes right into with a question that I asked him before in regards to a line of Voltron. I thought by the time that conversation was over, they would need to be an exorcism.
Oh, snap.
So that was just, I was like, that's one question I won't ask anymore.
Yeah, you know what? And I think I just learned my lesson on pop vinyls, too. Just, nah. It's not anymore. Just don't.
It's a setup. It's fine. I'm just like, wait, this is a setup. Tell me this is a setup.
Oh, it wasn't a setup for me. I mean, because I'm going in this blindly, so I haven't been following a couple of your episodes. I know, shame on me. I'm such.
Oh, no, that's fine. Just think of how much money people waste on pop vinyls that they could have spent on something really legit.
Yeah, especially the chase figures that are like, doesn't mean anything. It's just,
Build figures within a 5-figure run.
Yeah.
They're so expensive. It's like, but I see 22 pop vinyls on your shelf, which that's easily 3 Build-A-Figures? Easy?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Or a decent Castle Grayskull off eBay, at least.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Totally.
Just saying. Come on now. Why is
I had a guy who will remain nameless, who I was at a presentation that he was giving.
Uh-huh.
And he said he was doing a presentation about vintage toys. It was at a comic book convention. And the first thing out of his mouth when the presentation started was, I don't collect vintage toys because they're too expensive. Immediately I'm thinking, so why am I listening to you talk about vintage toys? Then he revealed that his collection was full of Sideshow and Hot Toys, those really like $300 12-inch, photorealistic dolls like of Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a second. You're spending thousands of dollars on brand new Hot Toys, which, by the way, if you're into those, they're beautiful and they're legit and great. Good on you.
Yeah.
But don't say that vintage is too expensive when you're buying those. Like, really?
Yeah. I'm being instructed to go find your episode on pop vinyls. So I think I may have to do that tonight. I have some homework tonight. So, yeah, again, hook, line, and sinker. Good old Joe Burke. Gullible as always, I guess. Anyway. So if there's if you guys got any more questions or anything, I just shared the link over in the chat room. If you guys want to hop in here and get on cam just for a second, you're more than welcome to do that. If not, we're going to kind of start wrapping and closing things up. But man, I tell you, this has been truly a treasure and just a treat. Now I know you do your shows and your episodes from your studio there, but this is kind of a rare opportunity to see up close and personal, like more of a let's talk about this line, and we go see it. Yeah. So it's kind of I feel very blessed that you allowed us to do this tonight with you and your showroom. So I thank you so much.
You guys, look, I'm not gonna do a bromance thing here or anything, but you guys have always been so kind and accommodating to me, and you've always treated me with courtesy and respect. And I don't actually do, aside from some live streams that we've done in here, which is a static shot, there's not a lot of camera movement. All of my videos are done in the studio room, and then I pull the toys in there. So this is really just like a space, like I said, for me to organize everything. So it's great that I was able to get connected with you and Mike and say, hey, you guys are close by, come on down, we'll do the show here, this will be great. I sat down with Mike to get the equipment set up, and the first thing I thought was, remember that scene in the '89 Batman movie when Kim Basinger and Michael Keaton are sitting at the big long table having dinner, and he says, do you like eating in this room? And he says, I don't think I've ever been in this room before.
And she laughs.
We sat down, and I looked over at Mike and I said, I don't think I've ever sat in this room at this angle before for this long. I don't think,
I feel like we should be having some soup with Michael Keaton right about now, and Alfred Pennyworth. Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, there's this. Hopefully, one day when the universes align and everything comes together, hopefully one day as I'm passing through, we can coordinate that effort and maybe have a quick one-on-one, just where I stop by and just look at I just want to be in the room for like 5 minutes and just soak in the aura of nostalgia, if you will, and just be like, So,
is Kyle Wisnett still on the chat?
He is. He's right here.
Kyle is a good friend of mine. He has been here multiple times. I always love seeing Kyle and his friend Austin, having them come over. So yeah, you got to come by, man.
Yeah, man. How's the DeLorean doing? Is it still holding up pretty good?
It's fine. I got to get that carburetor rebuilt. I've been dragging my feet on it because I'm not driving it right now. It runs. I can drive it, but I'm not driving it because I want to. I want to make sure everything's buttoned up before I do.
I'm sure you may have heard about this, but if you haven't, well, good news for you. There is a company out in Las Vegas, Nevada, that actually rebuilds custom pieces of DeLoreans. I don't know if you knew that, but you can find there's a YouTube video on there I was finding, and they actually manufacture from scratch using the actual die cast of the pieces of the DeLorean and things like carburetors and fuel injectors and stuff like that. You can find. And, you got to think in the back of your mind, well, this has got to be fabricated from scratch. Yeah. But, hey, it might be a cool way. It might be a new restoration project in the future for you at some point.
Well, the benefit of the DeLorean is that all of the planning documents and spec sheets survived with the rest of the spare parts from the company. So all of those plans are available to the right company to remake what needs to be remanufactured. Mm-hmm. The body panels are the challenge. They're going to have to remake those parts. Those tooling mechanisms, because the British government threw those into the channel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we got a couple more. We got Daniel Geister in the room. Says hello, Michael and PopXcast. Sean Hockney, he is one of our amazing subscribers and listeners here on PopX. He asked the question: hey guys, which is better to collect, Star Wars Vintage series or the Black Series?
Ooh, the Black Series is Hasbro's 6-inch line, and they do vary in quality from sculpt to sculpt, but they also have a lot of resale value after they are discontinued.
Okay.
And they track through all of the films of the saga, so not as many characters have been made available yet because it hasn't been around as long, but you can get original trilogy characters, prequel trilogy, and then all the new movies. You can get a representation of those casts as well. So they're not. They are a good investment in that sense, but vintage continues to rise in value. It is Genesis for Star Wars. It is ground zero. It is the starting point. So if you want I
all
talked to a
toy,
collector at another convention. We were doing a presentation, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got a massive Star Wars collection. It's one of the biggest in the Southeast or whatever." And I was like, "Cool." And he goes, "I don't really have anything vintage. I don't have any vintage." And I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm going, "Well, then you don't have anything."
we have nothing here, sir. Good day.
So, vintage is the heart of Star Wars merchandising, and it is historically significant. So yeah. I would collect vintage if you have a mind.
Okay. Yeah, because you think about it, the original Star Wars, like I've said several times already, that's where a lot of the toy lines and stuff started. And where my childhood was birthed pretty much at the same time.
Same here. Yeah.
But so we're about ready to wrap things up. Is there anything in the showcase that we haven't seen that you want to highlight? Is there any is there anything that's just that we haven't put the camera on yet? We haven't seen it close up. Is there anything in the cases yet?
I tell you what, let me rattle some things off that you haven't seen, and you tell me if you want to see it. So we've got the entire G1 Transformers crew and Decepticons. We've got the Arkham Asylum / animated Batman series cast and playsets. We've got, let's see.
What about the original 1989 Batman playset? Do you have all those?
I do not have the Toy Biz 89 one yet.
Okay.
I have the Biz Batwing and Batmobile, but they're not on display.
Okay.
I have the Wayne Manor playset that came out starting in 1990. That was made for several years.
All right.
In several decos, and then I have let's see, I've got
any Marvel Toy Biz.
I do have some Marvel Toy Biz, not on display right now because I've got like Wolverine, and I've got the Toy Biz Toy Biz Firestar. I've got 2 or 3 different versions of like Spider-Man. I've got Nightcrawler, Storm, Colossus. I've got a number of them, but I ran out of room. So even with all these cases, I ran out of room.
We're gonna have to have a bigger house, Michael.
I know. I'm gonna have to extend my basement out into my backyard.
Michael 3.0, RetroBlasting 3.0. It's coming, bro. It's coming. So all right, guys. Well, that's truly awesome. Actually, if you have. Is there any of the Star Wars lines that we haven't seen that hasn't been highlighted yet? Like, I know that we've seen the Empire Strikes Back line. We've seen Return of the Jedi. Is there any peculiar lines that we haven't seen yet that's kind of interesting?
Well, if I was to pick one, I don't know if he showed the Jabba's Palace shelf, but the reason I would bring that one up is because it has a lot of the last 17 figures on it and the rare Tatooine skiff. So right there.
Look at that! You have the skiff. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the original Kenner Power of the Force skiff, not the re-release. The R2-D2 standing up front is the pop-up lightsaber R2.
Oh.
You can see the Carbonite for the Carbonite Han.
Yep.
And Han for that Carbonite is standing next to Luke. Now, another thing to note is there are 2 Lukes on that shelf. One's front and center, and one's standing over by the Rancor.
Right.
Both of those Lukes are variants because most of the time when you had a hero figure in the Kenner line, unless the figure was wearing a helmet, if it was just the figure with their hair, the character's head, and follow me on this, the character's head was molded in the skin color, and then the hair was painted on.
Okay.
Now, unless it was a helmeted head, in which case it was less paint intensive to just paint the head on the face on the front.
Gotcha.
Well, Jedi Luke, for some reason, even though he was a helmetless human character, most of them, it was molded in the color of his hair, and then his face was painted on, which means that a lot of Luke Skywalker Jedi Knights have this brown nose because it gets rubbed off.
Really?
Well, I found out that it doesn't look good. It looks like he's got clown on it.
Brown nose much, Luke?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I found out that early in the run of the Jedi figures, when Jedi Luke was first made, there was a factory. I can't remember if it's Taiwan or Hong Kong. I believe it was Taiwan. They were making the Jedi Luke head the traditional way. Molded face, painted hair, which means you don't get that look, and you also don't get that ashen look to his face, where because he's painted on, it looks very pale and undead.
Yeah.
He fits more with the other figures more nicely, and so those 2 Lukes are that style. And I don't even display my painted face ones from when I was a kid because, like, what's the point? I just display the more painted hair ones. So
now, how did you? Is it just researching, just finding out things along the way as you go?
It's research, and then some of it's luck. So, for example, the one standing front and center with the green lightsaber, he was one that I sought out and bought after I found out that existed. I said, I have to have one of these right now, and I went out and bought one that was complete. The one in the backs with the blue lightsaber, because some Jedi Lukes early on came with a blue lightsaber as well. It was a mix-up. The blue lightsaber Luke, I found him with no accessories in a bargain bin at a toy show in a little plastic bag for like $3. I looked at him and I said, my gosh, this is the painted hair Jedi Luke. I need him now. You know, like I couldn't believe it was $3 and I already had the other one. So I thought, oh man, this is great. And I was like, here,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Take my money.
And when my friend looked over at me, because he had just rummaged through that box, and he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed that. And he didn't know about it till I told him.
Oh.
And I said, well, it's those little variations that you have to kind of research to know what you want.
Was it difficult trying to find the matching blue lightsaber to complete him?
Not really. I mean, the blue lightsaber, I knew this. I was looking for weapons to recomplete my childhood figures way back in like the aughts, not the teens, but the aughts.
Right.
And when I was doing that, there was this guy on eBay out of Australia who had piles and piles and piles of weapons for the vintage figures that were legit. They weren't repro.
Right.
That were spares. And I guess he'd gotten them from Palatoy or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had like a whole pile of just blue lightsabers. You bought them for like $3.99 each, and I bought like 5 of them because I wanted my Hoth Luke to have one. I wanted my X-Wing Luke to have one. So I just bought a bunch of them, and I had one laying around, so I gave it to Jedi Luke.
That's awesome. And thus completed the figure.
That's right.
That's pretty cool, dude. Well, listen, guys, thank you guys so much. Michael, man, I'm trying to soak all of this in. There's been so much amazing information and just visual representation tonight, and it's just been truly inspiring, actually. And I want to really say a huge thank you to my brother-in-arms standing right next to you there, Mr. Mike Ippolito, just for traveling all the way up to northern Atlanta and to hang out with you guys tonight in your amazing showroom and just answering questions and getting to see some really cool moments from my childhood proudly and beautifully displayed right there. I mean, if I was going to do something, this is kind of like the model that I would do it after. I mean, it's just so beautiful how everything is just nicely lit, nicely organized, displayed. And, well, what else could we expect? I mean, this is RetroBlasting.
It's all about the negative space. You want to have balance, because I saw a lot of pictures online, man, of other people's collections before I started my display. And it was just, how much can I cram on this shelf?
Yeah.
And it's not lit. And it's like, no.
No. There needs to be some methodology to that. But well, man, how can people connect with you on the internet? I know we've blasted your information out, but if people want to connect with you on your website or whatever.
The main way to connect with us is through the YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/retroblasting. Our Facebook page is very active. That's facebook.com/retroblasting. Mm-hmm. We're also on Instagram and Twitter under RetroBlasting. So no weird names from personal accounts that then transitioned over. It's all RetroBlasting. It's all uniform. And you can also reach us. Let me think. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are the 2 main portals. We have a .com, retroblasting.com. You can reach us there. And you can reach us on podcasting through Dreamland, the RetroBlasting podcast, which is run by Melinda and Aaron Harper. They run a Dreamland podcast, which is all about things they like to talk about, which aren't so visual. So like they love to talk about music culture of the 80s.
Nice.
They love to talk about that stuff. So there's a number of ways that you can get in touch with the different parts of RetroBlasting. I'm the video part.
Yeah, and well, you're not only the video part, but you're the reconstructing and just kind of restoration. Oh, I like that word.
Yes.
The restorative part of the childhood of the 80s. So key elements and ingredients for sure. Well, we're going to wrap things up here, guys. That is it with Mr. Michael French from RetroBlasting. And like I said, man, I want to thank all of my amazing viewers and listeners. We've had a plethora from your neck of the woods, Michael, joining us. We want to say hello to Kyle Winsnett. He's still hanging out with us, Mike Alonzo, and Sean Hockney. And just, the list and the names just keep going. Daniel Geister. We have... gee whiz, I can't even begin. Timothy Ward, Bean Jonathan, it just keeps going on and on. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on PopXcast. And as always, we are a part of an amazing network called the Gonna Geek Network. And now for all things even more geeky and nerdy, be sure to head on over to our official GonnaGeek.com and check out some amazing other geeky shows and podcasts just like us on our home network. And you can connect with us also on social media, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Pinterest, all at PopXcast. You can send comments and suggestions to us via email at popxcast@gmail.com. Also, for future and past shows, visit our official website, popxcast.com. I am Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts all over the internet. Hats off, of course, to amazing Team PopX tonight, and I want to give huge props to Mr. Mike Ippolito for driving to parts unknown into a magical world that is just enlightened many tonight. So, Mike, you got anything to say before we wrap things up here, Mike? Are you there?
Swing over here real quick to Michael's mic. I just have some technical difficulties. I lost my video feed on my computer there. But anyway, I just want to say I want to thank Kim and Melinda very much for opening up their studio to me and welcome me in here. And I spent an amazing day here, and it's just been phenomenal here. And I want to thank them very much, and I appreciate them very much. I really do.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael, for helping set this up for PopXcast. We really appreciate that.
Anytime.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode number 86 of PopXcast. Please be sure to join us in 2 weeks as we dive into our we're going to kind of do a Christmas episode possibly. So we're going to be talking about that in a couple of weeks. Be sure to look out on our social media accounts for details on that. So with that said, we're going to wrap things up here. Again, I want to thank all the listeners, all the downloaders. Be sure to check us over on Podbean, podbean.com. It's where we distribute everything. We're also on iTunes and Google Play. And you know what, guys? Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. And we will see you next time right here on PopXcast.
From everyone at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Please make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PopXcast, and click the follow button to get our live stream notifications. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Be sure to check out this and more great content on the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeek.com. Get your geek on!